Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. And today I gotta come at you guys with this update from my prediction princess Shaddolls. I have to update because it's in high volume. Everybody wants an update. Literally just because Construct is off the ban list, like, people have to have an update. And I'm here to deliver for you guys. Not much has changed in the list. Like, the extra deck obviously has changed because Construct is a new addition. It does change the options for the playstyle. And it also gives you more aggro, I guess you could say more aggro routes for you to exploit. The main deck has a couple integrations that make a huge difference. I did put in more Shaddolls, and I have more draw cards, and basically the longevity of the deck has been enhanced. Its ability to grind, also the consistency has been boosted, not necessarily exponentially, but by increments that do make a difference in the long run of just playing the deck. So we're going to hop into the main deck. I'll show you the extra deck as well. But this is Prediction Princess Shaddolls. It is how I've played Shaddolls literally ever since the Prediction Princess archetype came out. And I've only ever played Territory. I've experimented with Core Number, but stopped playing her. So let's hop into our main deck, you guys. So we're going to start off with 3 copies of Territory. If you guys do not know what this card does, if you haven't seen any of my Prediction Princess profiles, definitely I'll explain this to you. She basically is the boss monster for all flip effect decks. She's like one of the best boss monsters that you could play that happens to not have to be extra deck reliant. So what she is she's a starter card, she's an extender, she's a follow-up play, she's a recovery, and she's also a disruptor, all in one card. So her effects are as follows. One effect is not once per turn, the other 2 are. So basically she has the ability of during each end phase, you can special summon a flip effect monster from your hand or your graveyard and face down defense. So you can either extend from your hand or recover from your graveyard. The other effects that she has are the ability as spell speed 2 to basically target a monster on the field that's face up and put it face down, or target a face down monster on the field and change it face up. So all by herself, she is a Book of Moon, which is actually really strong. You'd be surprised how many decks really can struggle with the Book of Moon, especially when you consider that they need 2 specific monsters in order to link summon when you're basically looking at a Burning Abyss player I'm sorry. She's really good by herself, but with this deck, when she's paired with all the other monsters that the deck plays, she is pretty dangerous. So we have 3 of her. She's the main boss of the deck. She's my go-to. It's really hard to play this deck without her. I would say the deck isn't going to last as long because it becomes very linear. You're just basically spamming out Shaddoll fusions and sitting on them and just grinding with their ability to add from grave to hand. And that's okay, but it's not going to get you as far as she can because she allows you to basically spam your board. Also gives you more options. Her plus Winda is really a strong block because your opponent only having 1 special summon, and just for you to be able to answer that 1 special summon by putting it face down means they can't even out the Winda now. And every meta deck that's not Sky Strikers literally has a special summon at least more than once just to play. I guess outside of Altergeist and Sky Strikers, I would say. But all the heavy combo decks like Thunder Dragons, Salman Greats, Orcus, when they come out, Dark Warriors are kind of I don't know what's going on with them. But she's pretty solid with Win is the long story short. Next up we have we have 3 copies of Pot of the Forbidden, bro. This card is stupid. Do I think it's fair? No. But I also think that it can't be splashed in every deck, so it's kind of fair in the sense that there's only one particular deck you can play it in, and that deck happens to not be meta at all. So it's always nice to have something in your deck that can be considered kind of broken when all these other decks have just this insanely absurd, one-sided, unfair advantage against every single deck because their deck is just so powerful. Pot of the Forbidden is very, very justified. What he does is he has 4 effects, and only 1 of them are once per turn. His first effect allows you to draw 2. By the way, he's a flip effect monster. So you could draw 2 cards. It's Pot of Greed. You can return all spells and traps on the field. That is not Heavy Storm, but Giant Trunade. So Giant Trunade, Pot of Greed. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. That's basically Raigeki. And then look at 1 card in your opponent's hand. Shuffle it from the hand to the deck. That's named after a card that I'm not trying to guess the name of it right now. But he has 4 effects. The reason why his name is Pot of the Forbidden is because obviously all 4 of these effects at one point in time were either banned or currently are still banned. Raigeki is off the list though, so basically he has 4 banned effects, and the only one that's once per turn is the one that takes a card from your opponent's hand, puts it in the deck. but it also looks at your opponent's entire hand. And I think that one is the most generically applicable in any game state and in any matchup, because when you don't know what you're playing, you don't know if Raigeki is effective. You don't know if the ability to bounce the back rows is effective. But what's always going to be effective is learning what deck you're playing, gaining that information, capitalizing off the fact that you can take the best card of your opponent's hand, and using that knowledge to your advantage so that you know exactly what Shaddoll fusions are going to make a difference. Because you can actually use this on your very first turn. With the Link Monster Subterra Behemoth Phoenix, you can turbo this guy out turn 1. Use Terra Tray's effect to flip him face up. Use his effect, snipe a card out of your opponent's hand. You can then link with him, and then on the end phase, use Terra Tray to special him back face down, and then flip him on your opponent's draw phase and snipe another card out of their hand if you want to. Or you can just keep it face down as a reaction, as a piece of interaction on your opponent's turn. So for combo decks, you want to use the Raigeki build. Raigeki ability for Altergeist, if you go first, you're more than likely going to win if they don't have Moloseek. Basically, if they don't open Moloseek, they'll set their back rows, and during the end phase, you can bounce it back to hand. There's not much they can do about that. So it's pretty strong. Like, this card alone can allow this deck to somewhat pseudo-compete in today's metagame. I'm not saying that this card alone makes the deck meta, because this deck still is not a meta deck, but this gives it some relevancy, if that makes sense at all. Next up, we have 1 copy of Morphing Jar. Yeah, Konami did this deck justice by taking this off, by taking card destruction off, and by taking off Super Poly. Those are all boosts that you can basically incorporate into any Prediction Princess deck. But yeah, this card's nuts. Like, you can plus so hard off of it, it's ridiculous, because you don't have to specifically discard 5 in order to draw 5. It's not fair. It's just a really strong card. I've decked out so many times. It's the reason why I don't really need to play 40 cards. Then we have 3 copies of Rescue Cat. She's just a nutty starter card. She's a 1-card Behemoth Phoenix because of my choices of what I play for options and special off of her. She's just a really, really powerful starter card, like ridiculously good. She's the only normal summon that matters in the deck, actually. So yeah, like, these are all not Shaddoll cards. The rest of the deck is going to be all Shaddolls, outside of these bad boys right here that I'm going to show you guys. And these are another part of the stun, because, like, this deck is very combo heavy. It has a lot of different ways to interact on your opponent's turn, but it also has cards that can stun your opponent out of a specific way. And the thing is, you have to respect it, because they're literally flip effect monsters that you're losing to, and it should not, like, that should not happen, but it does happen occasionally, and not always, because, like, there's effect negation that exists, and you know, pretty much hand traps. There's hand traps, there's impermanences, there's cards that can stop it, but when your opponent does not have the exact specific answer or out to the interaction that you're providing on their turn, it can be very detrimental and also put them at such a disposition that they literally can't play. So prime example, Guard Dog. His flip effect says during the turn he's flip summoned, your opponent cannot special summon for the rest of the turn. Okay, so no Yu-Gi-Oh for everybody, basically, unless you're playing Dracos or Altergeist or I guess Monarchs. No, they kind of need special summon. And then for the decks that don't lose to Guard Dog, you Whirlwind Weasel them. For the rest of the turn, after this card flip summoned, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps. So for Altergeist and Sky Strikers, this is more impactful. For every other deck that's not Geist or Strikers or like Rogue, like Dracos and Paleos, you want to flip Guard Dog for basically Salaman Greats, for Orcus, for Thunder Dragons, for anything else that literally has to special summon to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You flip this, and that's better than Winda. These are even more accessible because of Rescue Cat and the fact that they're searchable off of Behemoth Fiendus, and that you can flip summon these on your opponent's turn because of Terra Tray. So now you guys are kind of getting the gist and understanding why I play the cards I play, and also the interactions that are actually there, and they like if these are factual things. Like, this deck can really do this stuff. So yeah, they're really good. These also occasionally I have used Whirlwind just to help me get a push, so that I can OTK, like flipping this with Terra Tray on my draw phase, like keeping it face down. The fact that like a Geist player just set all his traps and didn't activate anything, I just kept it face down. I flipped it on my draw phase, and he didn't have a response, so I was just like, okay, cool, awesome. Like, so now you can't activate anything, and like he picked up the card in red, and he's like, oh, I do have a response. I was like, well, when I asked you for a response, you didn't respond. You said it's fine, and then you picked up and read it and changed your mind. It's too late. But yeah, those are all the non-Shaddoll cards. Next up for the Shaddolls, this is Prediction Princess Shaddolls, you guys. We're going to be starting off with Squamata. Squamata is, like, in my opinion, the best Shaddoll because it's universally anything that you want it to be. It can even send Shaddoll core, so it can add the monsters. It can get you draw power. It can get you recovery. It can actually just allow you to snipe back rows. It allows you to just basically add the spells or traps from graveyard to hand because of core. So it's a very universal toolbox in the sense that it gets you anything Shaddoll related. So I think Squamata is kind of the best one. You know, you can, like, you know, everybody has their own opinion. So if you feel that there's one that's better, that's totally fine. But in my opinion, I love Squamata a lot. It's the best one. Its flip effect is kind of okay, but normally when you're using Terra Tray, you're flipping these guys. Like Whirlwind Weasel, Guard Dog, you're flipping Morphine Jar or Prod of the Forbidden. Like, these are the interactions, the best way to interact with Terra Tray. Terra Tray by herself is a threat, but with these, it's even more devastating. But if you, for some reason, bricked and could not get access to any of these, it's never bad to flip the Shaddolls on your opponent's turn when you're flipping cards like Squamata and Dragon. But then we have Hedgehog, the searcher of the deck, searches your spells, your traps, and your monsters. Just for anybody who's new to Shaddolls, if you're kind of like just starting the game, these are like the best starters for the Shaddoll archetype. Next up, we have 2 copies of Falco. Falco is absolute recovery and recursion. Both of his effects will grab you either him from graveyard, which is his effect if he's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, or his flip effect, which allows you to reborn any Shaddoll, including Shiki Naga, which I have done a lot of times, just reborning Shiki Naga after being properly summoned, because it says must first be fusion summoned. So after its first fusion summon, you can bring it back from the graveyard, and that's 3,000 booty. And it's just nice to be able to bring back a boss monster and have interaction in the main monster zone. So Falco is a beast. He puts in that work, son. Then we have 2 copies of Shaddoll Beast. Just because I already play 6 high-level monsters in the deck minus the Beast, I decided I just couldn't play 3 Beasts. Like, it's just too much. Like, I don't want to clog my hand full of high-level monsters when I don't have a fusion or a ritual spell. Then I can't really unbreak my hand. So I just chose 2 Beasts. Also, something that's new, I've started playing 2 Dragons because back row is really, really prevalent. Altergeist and Sky Strikers are still going to be 2 of the best decks. And it's not changing the fact that some of the newer good decks are going to have, like, literally Infernity Barrier-like cards. And we just need to be able to take care of those, at least bait them out, bare minimum. So we have 2 Dragons. He's just a beast. He puts in that work. He's 19 body. His flip effect allows you to bounce, which is really good because it doesn't destroy. So it can kind of circumvent for some of the issues that the deck has, in the sense that, like, a lot of its spot removal does actually like destroy, which really hurts, like, if a card can't be destroyed. And then another integration is Hound. I go back and forth on Hound, but I really like Hound for this list. He's a really, really powerful card. He's a beast, man. Like, Hound allows you to grind for a really long time. Like, just by having Hound in your list, your Shaddoll deck is already built to last longer than any other Shaddoll deck, for the simple fact that you have Hound and they don't. So now for our spells, we have 3 copies of Las Vegas and also 2 copies of Optimus Prime. This is more important than ever because literally Terra Tray is the only way that this deck can actually have some sort of tempo outside of opening one of the Shaddoll fusions. Like, if you don't have a Shaddoll fusion and you don't have Terra Tray and you don't have Rescue Cat, which are all basically like the best ways to start your plays, you're setting a flip effect monster and you're passing. In today's metagame, that is not going to cut it. You have to be able to explode turn 1. You have to spam the board as much as possible. You have to get out as many boss monsters, as many disruptors as you possibly can, so that you can hang with the best decks. So you need to get access to Terra Tray as quickly as possible. I maximize on every card that can get Terra Tray that's not committing to a normal summon like Manju. Next up, we have 3 Pre-Preparation of Rites, my absolute favorite spell in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. I love this card. I'm so glad Konami made it. Like, it literally just, it gave ritual decks what they really, really needed and what they still need. It's like all these spell cards are great, but we still need more. Like, ritual decks cannot play without having the ritual spell, the ritual monster, and the tribute fodder. It's a fact. We have 3 Extra Foolish Burials. Extra Foolish Burial is really flexible because it actually can send the Shaddoll fusions, while also it can send Herald of Arclight. So it's really flexible. And if you want to play Elder Entities, you can play that as well. Then we have 3 copies of Allure Darkness. I do play, I believe, 12 or 13 Shaddolls. So we do play a healthy amount of Dark Monsters. And it does help because sometimes you have the awkward hands where you have Shaddolls, but you don't have a fusion spell to make a Shaddoll fusion. So Allure helps you to kind of filter through your hand because, like, those Shaddolls aren't going to serve a purpose anyways. Like, especially one-off Terra Tray can help, but, like, when you have cloggy hands, it really helps. We have 2 copies of Pot of Desire. I didn't want to go for 3 this time on this list because I actually have the ability to recycle this from my graveyard to my main deck so that I can just resolve it again. Like, playing 2 is really good because I've resolved 2 multiple times. Like, in the same duel, even playing 3. Like, I've resolved 2, like banishing one off the other and still drawing the other one later on in the duel. And because the fact that Ritual Sanctuary, aka Las Vegas, broken, it can actually revive territory by recycling 9 spells. It gives you the ability to resolve Pot of Desires again in a comfortable manner because you just put 9 cards back into your deck and it banishes 10, which is really nice. So yeah, like, and it does come up. Like, people think it wouldn't come up. It comes up all the time, every duel. And then we have 3 copies of Prediction Ritual. This is what's going to be summoning Territory. And it has a, basically, you can capitalize off of it as an investment because after the turn is sent to the graveyard, any turn after that, you can banish it and add a Prediction Princess monster, which is going to be another Territory, which can help you to get farther for your construct as well, which, you know, Territory is the light attribute monster that you're playing in your main deck. You don't need to play any other ones because actually Construct is extremely searchable. I mean, Territory is extremely searchable, and Shaddoll Fusion obviously just sends her straight from the deck to the grave. So yeah, 3 Shaddoll Fusions. It's just a really broken high ceiling card in today's metagame for the simple fact that nobody plays around this card anymore. Shadolls used to be so good that people literally played around this card. They did not want to leave something in extra monster zone because they absolutely liked the Necros. Like, we're really good at that because they didn't really spam from the extra deck like most people did. But like, people would play around this card because like this was such a dangerous card going second, and it still is. Nobody plays around it. And then 3 El Shaddoll Fusions. Thank God that this card finally came off the ban list, and it's not recent, but it came off a while ago, and I'm just so grateful. Like, this card's nuts. Like, the OTKs that you can do, the fact that you can make it look like you bricked on just a Territory in a pot and just set this and like catch your opponent off guard by flipping this on their turn. Like, after you've resolved Pot or any other ridiculously powerful flip effect off Territory and dropping a window on them or a Shiki-Naga or a Grista, depending on whether you have Shaddoll Core, you can summon Grista, but you can summon Shiki-Naga and Winda because you main deck the attributes. It's really good. And then we have 1 Super Poly. So the attributes that you can use are if your opponent has a Dark Monster, an Earth Monster, a Light, or a Fire, you can use Super Poly. So you cannot use it with Winds and Waters, but the only decks that are really playing Winds and Waters are like Geist and Strikers, and even those decks still also main deck the other attributes that matter. And I feel that Annoyed Tillis and Wendigo are not that great, and they're not that impactful in today's metagame. So I just feel like, why play them just to have the option of making it off Super Poly when they still won't get me anywhere by making them? Like, Annoyed Tillis is good in certain formats, but not this one. And then 1 Core, it's like one of my favorite cards. Like, I grind for a long time with this. Use it to make Chlamydia. I'm always looping it off of my Shaddoll Fusions and using this to get the Fusions back. And I mean the Shaddoll monsters, the Fusion monsters. Yep. And then my extra deck, crap. There's a couple cards that, snap. Okay, here they are. My extra deck, I had left 3 slots because my Herald of Arclights, I only have 3 Herald of Arclights, and they're in my Herald of Perfection deck. So I left 3 slots out my extra deck for the Heralds. I'm going to grab them really quick because they were supposed to be in the extra deck. But basically, to start off the extra deck, we have 2 Herald of Arclight and 1 Elder Entity Inties. So basically, these cards, like, their sole purpose is to be sent off of Foolish Burial Goods. I don't really, I don't really see any other way for my deck to be able to abuse these cards as of right now. So their literal purpose is for when I have extra Foolish Burial Goods. I'm sorry, extra Foolish Burial. I play 2 of this because I do play 3 extra Foolish Burials, and in addition to that, you will draw another one, and it's like, it's gonna come up. It just came up for me where like I really needed this specifically as an option. I play this as a really good flex card because extra can also get you out of certain scenarios. Like, if a for example, if Altergeist flip a Rivalry, that can really hurt sometimes because you're spamming a lot of different types. So you can just activate it and send this, and you basically can pop it. Next up, we have, let me get my stuff organized actually. Okay, there we go. All right, so next up, we're going to go up to the Fusions. We have 3 copies of El Shaddoll Winda. Winda is a really strong card, and I like her at 3 because like you're going to be going through her pretty quickly. She's the main Fusion monster that you go to because like she is universally one of the greatest answers in against all the meta decks. Like, when you're not able to open Guard Dog, you really need a card like this because slowing your opponent down matters. If you can't slow them down, they're going to walk all over you because this deck is not that strong in comparison to all the other decks that are really meta relevant. I personally played 2 Shiki-Nagas. When I was playing 1, it kept coming up where I literally like had to basically revolve around using Falco to bring back Shikinaga, and I didn't like that because even the turn I summoned it face down, I couldn't use it to interact, and like it kept coming up so many times where I needed Shikinaga like specifically. So I just brought it up to 2. It's a really strong card. It's a heck of a boss monster. Like just being able to like have this with Dragon or Squamata is nuts because like you can literally negate a monster effect and then pop a back row. So like you basically 1 for 2 them with at the cost of like 1 card, which is not even a cost for her effect, by the way. You get to negate a monster effect and pop a back row, which is like it just helps you in your tempo. Oh! Finally, you guys, we got El Shaddoll Construct back, bro. I'm so happy about this, man. Like you guys have no idea. Like this deck, it does change. Like this does make a difference. Having Construct in the deck like makes a huge difference. Her effect that destroys a monster that she battles that special summon, like it is good, and it's like that's not what makes her broken. It's the fact that she's a starter card, and also that she is made with a light attribute, which should also be splashed in so many other things. Like literally on summon, you get anything that you want, which is nuts. So yeah, Shaddoll Construct is just she's amazing, you guys. And then I also play Grista. I love Core, and I search it a lot too. I like being able to make Grista. Just being able to react to special summons makes a difference. Because like sometimes you literally either Winda's not good enough, or like their first summon that they make, and like especially against certain decks, like it's gonna be way too powerful and you can't let it hit the board. So just being able to have the option to negate a special summon makes a huge difference in the long run, especially when you can negate a summon and pop a back row. So I just really like Grista a lot, you guys. And then we have double Behemoth Phoenix, 1 Construct. These are all made off of flip effect monsters. Behemoth Phoenix is a really powerful link too for the deck. It gives you a lot of advantage when you resolve it. It's kind of like the Isolde or the Electromite or the double Helix of the deck. Just another one of those great link 2s that really like just resolving them puts you so far ahead. And then Construct is still really awesome when you don't even open with any of your 6 fusions, but you have a Rescue Cat or any way to get 2 flip effect monsters on the field. You can make her, use her effect, literally fuse into a Construct, and then use her ability to sack a Shaddoll and bring her back into the main monster zone. Then you open up zones, and if you resolve anything that can get more Shaddoll stuff, or you just happen to like send a beast and draw a fusion, you can, just by opening the zones, you can spam more fusions here and there, or also just spam your board here, like summoning other monsters that you really needed to get out. And like she just lets you grind. Like you can play the Nightmares, but my extra deck's pretty tight, but like being able to summon her in the main monster zone every single turn allows you to just instantly co-link Nightmares so that you can get more advantage out of them and have their ability to protect. We have 1 Underclock. I just needed a generic link too that had down pointing arrow and this arrow that like wasn't serviced because I needed the down pointing arrow. So Underclock's really good. It helps with the issue that this deck kind of has sometimes, just getting over like monsters that are really, really big and can't be destroyed by stuff. True King of all Chlamydia, I can make it so easy. I can make it turn 1 like very effectively. It's another really, really good card that allows me to like slow my opponent down to the tempo I need them to be, because this deck can OTK and it will OTK as long as I'm allowed to play and get my stuff out, and I can slow my opponent down enough to where they can't just bore sword me to death. I can definitely have a high chance of winning. So yeah, that's the main deck, you guys. If you are interested, I have a lot of other variations of Shaddoll Princesses and a lot of other builds. It changes every time I showcase it, and if you're interested, just look it up on my channel. It's going to be there. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't eat your brain cells. Have a beautiful day, you guys, and definitely be safe. Peace.